when I first read this article, I didn't believe it. I thought it's from that satirical website, Snopes.com. I didn't think it's legit. But no, like I double checked it from the Chicago Times. What Smollett's lawyers are actually saying is that can't a man just virtue signal nowadays? Like, do you guys actually have to go investigating everything that, you know? Let's recap and see what happened, right? So, an actor from the TV show Empire, a gay black man, very important, was accusing that while he was walking during the middle of winter, I believe it was either 2 or 3 a.m. at night, 2 white devils with MAGA hats jumped him, and they had a piece of rope and they wanted to lynch him. And of course, all the mainstream media, not waiting for facts, not verifying, they published this story and a lot of editorials like, oh my God, ooh, Trump's America, ooh, moral panic, be afraid, you know? And turns out, as things start progressing, that the story makes less and less sense, especially since Smolett doesn't want to cooperate with the cops when they asked him to give him his phone, because apparently he was talking with his manager while this took place. And eventually, the cops start realizing that the people that he was accusing were actually 2 Nigerian black people that were colleagues with him, and that this might have been a hoax. And you know, they start investigating, and they're gathering evidence against him, and they're building up a case. Now, a lot of people probably don't know this, because usually when you think of the police, you think like the arm of the law. You know, it's like some superpower that is managing to keep people safe. In reality, the police, in every country, everywhere around the world, they have limited resources. And unfortunately, sometimes they prioritize on which crimes to investigate. And yeah, it happens that some crimes, you know, even though the people call the cops might not, you know, look into it. Like you might go and you say, well, I was robbed on the streets, and the cops are just going to file the papers, and that paperwork is going to sit on a desk because, you know, they consider that they have more pressing matters to attend, like murders and stuff like that. So, yeah, like when you use police resources in order to figure out who those people are, and then you use police resources in order to find out, you know, if you actually did a hoax or not, that costs a lot of money, and that means that a lot of people who called 911 that day probably had to wait a little bit more because some officers were busy dealing with this case. So they actually create a very sturdy case file, according to the police chief, saying that Smolett has faked this crime. That is not accurate. But I saw a YouTuber by the name of Stefan Molyneux say something that at the time I was like, oh my God, like this conspiracy theorist. Oh, he was like, oh, let's see that there is not going to be any justice because this is a black gay person in America, and like nothing is going to come of it. It's very high profile. And it turns out like this person has connections with the Obamas, and the prosecutor of the case just drops the case, right? The prosecutor says that he doesn't consider this a high priority thing, and he's going to drop the case. So he's not considered to be innocent. No, like there was no trial. There was no, you know, like judgment being passed on this. It's simply that the prosecutor decided to stop prosecuting. And my question is, like, if anyone would dial 911 and the police officer's time, do you think the prosecutor would just go like, eh? This is really serious, because especially when you have a high crime area like Chicago, I assume like this is where it happened, right? And it's a high profile case that everyone sees. You're sending the message that fucking with the police time and the taxpayer money is acceptable, that you can do it and nothing can come to you. Like, this is a really bad message, you know? Like, the way the law works is, number one, to punish criminals, but number two, to dissuade criminals that might commit crime from doing the crime, because they're like, oh, I don't want to do this because then I might have to serve time. Like, that is also a way to keep society safe. But in this case, it doesn't seem that it has happened. So, now it seems that Smolett is basically saying that, you know, well, his lawyers are saying that he didn't expect the cops to look into it and waste so much money, because apparently it costed the taxpayer $130,000 for police overtime. Like that isn't. I'm a Romanian. Like, I don't know. Maybe for Americans this is pocket change. You know, maybe for Americans this is not a lot of cash. But to me, that's a lot of money. You know, like with $130,000, you can buy a mansion in my country. You know, like you're going to be living like a king if you have this much. I don't think I made this much money in my entire life. You know, but anyway, so what's really funny about this is that the lawyers are saying my client from the beginning has maintained his innocence and disputed the city's allegations. Now, if you really are innocent and you want to maintain your innocence, I think in my country, and I think in America as well, you have the right to ask for the trial. Like, this is something that you can actually do. If you know you're innocent, you want the trial to go on to prove your innocence, right? Can you do this in America? I'm not sure. It's also like in a civil lawsuit. Like, someone accuses you of something and then they drop the charges. You can ask for the lawsuit to go on so that you can prove your innocence. But anyway, he noted that it's going to be very difficult for the city to prevail in making a case. My client should pay for overtime for a case ultimately dismissed by the state's attorney. You know, like this is another thing. Like, if I was an American citizen, I would want an investigation to see why did the state attorney dismiss this case. Like, I would want to see if there are other people prosecuted for wasting police time and effort, and if they also had, you know, their cases dismissed by the attorney. Because this is just insane. Like, yeah, sure, like, the attorney can dismiss some cases, you know, like an old woman steals a loaf of bread, you know, to feed her starving children. Yeah, like, you can have prosecutors going, hey, you know? But, like, in this high-profile case. So, apparently, this is my favorite one. We contend the city is wrong. Quinlan said that the city's assertion that Smolett should have known the police would log nearly 2,000 hours in overtime time to resolve the case. The mere fact somebody filed a police report doesn't presume the investigation will be done, and certainly not to the extent that the city is claiming. So the lawyers of Smolett are saying that just because you go to the police station and file a report doesn't mean that the police should look into it. Like, you know, lawyers say some crazy things in order to win lawsuits, but this just blows my mind. It's like, so let me get this straight. Like, you have a high-profile case that the entire nation is looking at, and you have journalists editorializing and demonizing the police. It's like, oh, we're racist cops and blah, 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 and look how they're not doing anything. And when the police is doing something, you have the lawyer saying, it's like, oh, why are you doing shit? You know, like, you know, can't a man virtue signal in peace? Because this is what it's about, right? Like, you have this narrative that this gentleman is taking advantage of. You basically have the idea that America is a racist place, okay? The police is very racist. People with MAGA hats are the same like people wearing the KKK hood. And with this narrative, yeah, someone tried to find the victimhood box and just make the claim, especially knowing that the media doesn't look for evidence, you know, like it's the public court of opinion. We don't need evidence. If he claims so, then surely it is. And this guy's acting career isn't doing very well, so he thought that he might get a little bit into the spotlight by, you know, saying that he got abused during the middle of the winter at 3 a.m. by two white people with ropes and stuff. And, you know, like, I guess when you live in that bubble, when you're in the Hollywood bubble that you believe that the police really is racist, you don't expect that the police actually tries to stop crimes. It's like, hey, if the police was racist, they wouldn't give a fuck. You know, they would investigate to find out who those people were and give them a pat on the back, but that's not the case. That's not what America is. That's not the vibe that I'm getting from reading the articles and seeing how much overtime police officers have spent, 1,836 hours on the ass of this guy. Like, yeah, I bet they're livid. I bet they're livid that the prosecutor just decided to drop the case. After, and another thing, right? The prosecutor said that they don't want to waste taxpayer money on you know, such a frivolous lawsuit. It's like, well, the police already wasted the money. Like, they already did the thing. Like, they already had the case. Why would you drop it? It's already done. Like, it's, you know, like most of the groundwork is made. But, you know, like, what message does that send? I guess the message that it sends, if you have high connections in Chicago, if you know the Obamas, is that the message? Because that's what I'm getting. Maybe I'm wrong, you know, but would you have faith if that was you? Or am I now spreading conspiracy theories? You're spreading conspiracy theories. So if you're the media and you're reporting that, yeah, this happened. Oh, racist cops. Oh, people in the middle of the night with their nooses. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's legit. That's legit. But suggesting that, you know, this is not normal. You know, average people don't benefit this power. Like, actually marginalized people don't have prosecutors just dropping cases on them after the police wasted so much money and time. No, that's a conspiracy theory. Absolutely. But you know what? I think what I think. Like, you guys can think differently. I don't mind, but it's very... I'm from Eastern Europe. You know, it's like that scene in Batman. It's like, oh, do you think you can use corruption? Oh, I was born in corruption. Oh... I know corruption when I see it. This, like, a clearer case cannot be found. Well, no, actually you can with the Epstein case. You know, not one, but 2 cameras malfunction. Guy is taken off suicide watch. Guy ends up killing himself. Broken bones and stuff. Yeah. Jesus. Why is it that everywhere the left goes, corruption is soon to follow? I'm not saying that right-wingers aren't corrupt, but maybe they're so good at it. Like, it's not so blatant, you know, it's not so obvious, but in these cases, like, it's staring you in the face. Like, to pretend that his connections with Obama have nothing to do with the fact that the prosecutor dropped the case, that is the conspiracy thing. Like, that is the far-fetched thing to believe. Or to believe that, yeah, if I go to America and I waste $130,000 of police time and effort, then the prosecutor will just drop the case against me. Yeah, sure. Maybe, yeah. I'm fully convinced that that's the case, you know? Equality under the law, definitely. Let me know what you think. Looking forward to reading from the comment section.